Since we our broadcast last night, another accusation came out against Donald Trump. This one is from a writer at People magazine describing a forced kiss. Trump denies that ever happened. And now many people are questioning the timing of this avalanche of accusations. Joe Concha is media writer for the Hill newspaper, and he joins us from New York. Hi, Joe. What do you think about all this?
Hey, Brett. I think, well, hey, if we're talking about the veracity of these claims, I'm not here to dismiss them or belittle them in any capacity. I mean, they're serious. They should be treated as such. But if you're going to ask me about the timing about this, I think we have to go through a quick timeline. September 23rd, just 3 days before the first presidential debate, the New York Times receives Donald Trump's 1995 tax return. Those were sent because the intention basically was to affect that debate with something of a bombshell like that. The Times doesn't print it right away, however. They look to verify it, and it comes out instead 2 days before the vice presidential debate, and it dominates that news cycle. Then you go to 2 days before the second presidential debate, and we have the Access Hollywood tape come out from someone at NBC that sent it to the Washington Post. And now, here we are, just a few days before the third presidential debate, and within the span of 12 hours, People magazine, the New York Times, and the Palm Beach Post all have 4 women that have come forward to make these allegations of unwanted sexual advances by Donald Trump. So if you ask me, is it fair to question the timing? I would say, considering that this couldn't have been scripted any better on an episode of Scandal, the answer is yeah.
Well, but it does raise, I mean, what I take it you're saying is that it's not that the ammunition is faulty, it's that the timing of its being fired is a little questionable, right?
Right, particularly with the Access Hollywood tape. Remember, NBC reportedly knew about this tape for months. Yet, for whatever reason, it's released 2 days before a second presidential debate watched by 66 million people. And the same thing with the tax documents. That was supposed to affect the first debate, and those were sent to the New York Times 3 days before that debate. Timing is everything, and I have a hard time believing that all these things just came together right before large presidential debates, except if it was planned that way. It's hard to dismiss that entirely. We don't know.
Right. Yeah, well, if you're going to choreograph something, you'd have the candidates say, this is the kind of stuff I do to women, and that would be the Access Hollywood tape. And then you have women come out in the aftermath of that by a few days and say, this is what he did to me, and it's basically the same scenario that he described. And, of course, in the intervening period, when you saw that debate, he was asked whether he'd ever done those things, and it appeared from his answer, Joe, and I'd like to know what you think about this, that he didn't really want to answer that question. And he finally, pressed by Anderson Cooper, said, no, I've never done that, but you could tell he didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper asked him at least 3 times, have you ever acted in that way? So good job by Cooper there to press him on that, because you're right, he wasn't answering that question. Again, I'm not here to sit in judgment of Donald Trump or these women. We're in the he said, she said stage at this point. We simply don't know. But one thing that I do find curious, the People magazine reporter, remember, she's a reporter. She's not a woman that Donald Trump met on a plane. She was doing the interview and said that Donald Trump made an unwanted sexual advance towards him. Now, remember, he's a star at that point. He's on a #1 show with The Apprentice. This is 2005. I would think as a reporter, that's the story. And I'm surprised that she didn't go ahead and say, look, we were supposed to do a fun interview, and instead this guy's hitting on me in a way that I wanted no part of. I'm just surprised as a reporter she didn't go to print with that at the time as opposed to waiting until now, just weeks before a presidential election. I think it's a fair question to ask.
It is a fair question to ask, and we'll be interested to see how she answers that question, as it will almost certainly be put to her. Joe, thank you very much.
Good to see you.